Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
At Jordan's place, she cries to Curtis that she'd love to give their relationship another chance, but she can't, because Portia is pregnant. Curtis realizes that he and Portia easily have a lot to bandy, and Jordan says whatever decision he makes, she'll understand. Jordan knows Curtis' precedence must be the baby. Curtis calls her amazing and thanks her for her honesty. He wonders why Portia didn't tell him and whether she plans to keep the baby. He decides he has to find her and rushes out. At Isaiah's cabin, he and Portia kiss, and he surprises her with a romantic regale. He indeed breaks out his stylish wine. They kiss some further and end up in bed, easily skipping the wine and food. Isaiah also gets a call from the sanitarium and has to return. He urges her to stay, enjoy regale, and hopefully he'll be back latterly. He also gives her a key to their special flight cabin. What does Jack share with Anna? Jack drops by Anna's office to let her know her request to visit Valentine has been denied. Anna again suggests they work together as he needs her, because nothing knew Faison better than she did. She tells him that she can get Valentine to tell her everything he wouldn't tell him. Jack says she'll have to earn his trust, but he'll tell her that Valentine noted this design is about Faison, and there's a connection between Faison and Sidwell. That's all he'll say to her for now, and he walks out. What's Carly's next move? Jason corners Carly in the alcove at the Metro Court and asks why she's avoiding him. She says she's not, and whatever he needs to make it quick, as she's having regale with Jack. Jason is stupefied and accuses her of being up to commodity. Carly explains she can't go to break up with Jack because, if she stays with him, he'll keep her son safe, and it's all she cares about. Jack soon appears, and Jason takes off. Jack senses that he intruded a tense discussion, and Carly admits Jason was giving her an earful about him. She keeps telling Jason how much he's done for her and her family. She says Lulu told her about the visit he arranged for Charlotte and Valentine, but Lulu probably wouldn't allow another bone. This troubles Jack. Ned wants Tracy to do what? Ned sits down with his mama and Olivia at the eatery, and they push her to make peace with Ronnie. Tracy refuses, and Ned says grandfather would be shamed of her, as possession is 9/10 of the law, and she let herself get demurred out of the manse. She needs to make peace and get back into the house. What's Jacinda's new job? In the Crimson office, Nina tells Ava that Willow hates her for taking the plea deal, but Ava points out that Willow has abominated her ahead. Nina vows she wouldn't stop fighting for Willow. Ava suggests she let Alexis handle this, and she doesn't need to do anything that will make effects worse. Outside Nina's office, Jacinda tells Michael that working then might be a bad idea, as Nina is the person who paid her to medicine Drew. Michael knocks on Nina's door and says he has hired her a new adjunct, someone she formerly knows. Jacinda walks in, and Nina exclaims, "Over my dead body." Michael is okay with those terms. Nina says Jacinda tried to double-cross her and is easily lying to cover Michael with a fake justification. Nina and Michael argue back and forth, until Ava weighs in and stops Nina from shooting her mouth off and lamenting it. Nina agrees to give Jacinda the job, and Michael and Ava leave so they can talk. Michael heads down to the eatery to meet Ned, Tracy, and Olivia. Tracy says thanks to Ned, she's seen the light and will apologize to Ronnie. Ned suggests they do this tonight. Jason heads to Anna's office and asks for her help chancing a way to get Joss out of the WSB. Anna says there's no way to liberate her, and she'd have to leave on her own. Still, they could work to get her out from under Jack's thumb, which might put her in less dangerous grips moving forward. Is Ronnie no good? Martin shows up at the Quartermain manse on Drew's behalf and believes he can change Ronnie's mind about dealing the place. Ronnie reminds him that he said they shouldn't be seen together. He says nothing will suspect they're working together, and if he hadn't reached out to her, she'd still be staying tables. He says this house and her newfound fortune are all his doing, because he wrote her into Monica's will. Ronnie insists that she no way wanted to be a part of this, and Martin knows he'd to vent her on the plan. Ronnie admits she only agreed after encountering that nasty Tracy Quartermain, but the rest of the family has been lovely, and she hates deceiving them. She says this house shouldn't be hers. Martin says it wouldn't be formerly she sells it to Drew. Ronnie refuses, as Monica loved this house, and she wouldn't go against her wishes. Martin says she will, because he must have his vengeance and see that Tracy loses everything. Ronnie begins to figure effects out and realizes Martin is the one who cured her tea to set this in stir. Ronnie says this has gone too far and can't continue. Martin becomes cold and angry and says nothing can be traced back to him, and she'll be the one to end up in captivity. So, he states, she'll keep her mouth shut and vend the house to Drew, or he'll take down everything she has, including her freedom. Damn, Martin can be one hell of a monster. In the show's final moments. Alone, Jordan opens her fortune cookie, which reads, "An unanticipated delivery will change everything." She snappily tosses it in the trash. Curtis finds Isaiah at the sanitarium and asks where his woman is. At the cabin, Portia makes a call to Ava, who's at the Metro Court bar. Portia asks her where she is, as she needs to see her. Anna tells Jason their first task is to ensure Jack's current op is fleetly and safely concluded. She tells Jason that Jack told her Faison is involved in what's going on, and so is Sidwell. Carly tells Jack that Lulu feels flying back and forth is too disruptive to Charlotte's life. Jack still needs further from Valentine, so Carly suggests he dislocate Valentine closer to home. Nina goes over a list of rules with Jacinda and wonders how important Michael is paying her to lie for him. Jacinda says she's not lying, and she and Michael have come veritably near. Nina offers to pay Jacinda further than Michael. Ronnie is alone at home when Tracy, Olivia, Michael, and Ned show up. Tracy eats some crow and wants to bury the hatchet with Ronnie for the good of the family and start over. Ronnie agrees they all could use a fresh launch, which is why she's dealing the house. In the sprawling, interconnected tapestry of Port Charles, a single day can feel like a lifetime. Tuesday unfolded not with a single, dramatic explosion, but with a series of carefully laid emotional fuses being lit, each one threatening to detonate the carefully constructed lives of those involved. It was a day of painful baptisms, into new roles, new deceptions, and new levels of despair. Encouraging words were often a thin veil for manipulation, and angry threats hissed in opulent drawing rooms carried the weight of impending ruin. From the quiet anguish of a selfless confession to the cold-blooded calculus of revenge, the citizens of this city found themselves navigating a perilous landscape where love and lies were inextricably intertwined. A heart's sacrifice, Jordan's painful honesty. The scene at Police Commissioner Jordan Ashford's home was one of raw, unvarnished emotion. This was not a confrontation of anger, but a surrender born of profound love. As Curtis Ashford stood before her, the man whose heart she still held and whose future she was about to irrevocably alter, Jordan's composure cracked. The tears that welled in her eyes were not tools of manipulation, but the physical manifestation of a soul-deep ache. She confessed to him the truth that had been eating away at her, a truth so monumental it had become an insurmountable wall between them. "I would love nothing more than to give us another chance, Curtis," she whispered, her voice thick with unshed tears. "To believe that we could find our way back to each other. But I can't. I can't because Portia is pregnant with your child." The air in the room shifted. For Curtis, this was the missing piece of a puzzle that had left him confused and adrift. The strained dynamic with Portia, Jordan's emotional distance, it all suddenly snapped into a heartbreaking, clear picture. The reason he couldn't reclaim his life with Jordan wasn't a lack of love, but the presence of a new, undeniable responsibility. Jordan, in her devastatingly noble way, was releasing him. She assured him that whatever decision he made, she would understand. Her message was clear, his priority now must be the baby. It was a mother's decree, even for a child not her own. Curtis, humbled and reeling, could only call her amazing. His gratitude for her brutal honesty was palpable. But as the initial shock subsided, a torrent of questions flooded his mind. Why didn't Portia tell me? Does she plan to keep the baby? Where does this leave us? The urgency to find Portia, to look her in the eye and demand the truth, became a physical need. With a final, grateful glance at the woman who had just loved him enough to let him go, Curtis rushed out, his mission clear. He was embarking on a search that would define the rest of his life. A cabin of complication, Portia's temporary escape. While Curtis began his search, the object of it was miles away, attempting to lose herself in a fantasy. At Dr. Isaiah Gannon's secluded cabin, Portia Robinson was in a world far removed from the mounting pressures of her reality. The atmosphere was one of deliberate romance. Isaiah had surprised her with a carefully prepared dinner, soft lighting, and a bottle of his finest wine. The kisses they shared were passionate, an attempt to silence the whispering voices of consequence and duty. Their connection was immediate and intense, leading them to abandon the romantic dinner altogether and retreat to the bedroom. In that moment, it was a welcome escape for Portia, a chance to be a desired woman, not a conflicted doctor, not a pregnant ex-lover, not a keeper of life-altering secrets. It was a temporary salve on a wound that was about to be ripped open. The illusion was shattered by the jarring ring of Isaiah's hospital pager. Duty called, as it always does in Port Charles. Urging her to stay, to enjoy the dinner, and to wait for his return, he handed her a key. It was not just a key to the cabin, but a symbolic gesture, an invitation into a part of his life, a special getaway for them. For Portia, holding that key felt heavy with unspoken promises and a future she was no longer sure she could claim. The moment he left, the silence of the cabin became oppressive, the bed sheets feeling less like a haven and more like a trap. The guilt and anxiety came rushing back. Needing an anchor, she reached for her phone and called the one person she felt might understand her turmoil, Ava Jerome. Spy games, Anna and Brennan's delicate dance. In the sterile, high-stakes environment of the WSB, Anna Devane was facing a professional wall. Jack Brennan's visit to her office was as cold and efficient as the man himself. He delivered his news without fanfare. Her request to visit Valentine Cassadine had been denied. This was a significant blow to Anna's strategy. Valentine was a font of information, and his connection to her was a lever she believed she could pull. Never one to accept defeat, Anna pivoted. She presented a renewed case for collaboration, her tone laced with a spy's pragmatism. "You need me, Jack," she stated, her gaze steady. "No one knew Faison like I did. His mind, his patterns, his obsessions. I can get Valentine to tell me things he would never, ever reveal to you." She was offering herself as a unique key to a very complex lock. Brennan, a man who trusts no one and views emotion as a liability, was unmoved by her appeal to their shared history. "You'll have to earn my trust," he retorted, a clear reminder of where the power in their dynamic resided. Yet, in a classic Brennan move, he offered a calculated crumb of information. He revealed that Valentine had confirmed the project was, indeed, about Faison, and that there was a tangible connection between the dead psychopath and the powerful, enigmatic corporation, Jen Sidwell. It was just enough to keep Anna hooked, to make her believe she was still in the game, while he maintained absolute control. With that, he departed, leaving Anna with more questions than answers, but with the confirmed scent of a conspiracy that reached into the darkest corners of her past. A mother's gambit, Carly's dangerous deception. The Metro Court Hotel, a place of glossy surfaces and hidden tensions, was the setting for a high-wire act of emotional deception. Jason Morgan, whose loyalty to Carly Spencer is one of his defining traits, finally cornered her in a secluded alcove. He had seen her evasive maneuvers and recognized the familiar glint of a dangerous secret in her eyes. "Why are you avoiding me?" he demanded, cutting through the pleasantries. Carly, ever the master of deflection, initially tried to brush him off, citing her impending dinner with Jack Brennan. But Jason knew her too well. He accused her of being up to something, and under the weight of his unwavering gaze, her defenses crumbled. The raw, maternal fear she had been suppressing bubbled to the surface. Her explanation was a torrent of desperate logic. "I can't afford to break up with him, Jason," she confessed, her voice dropping to a fervent whisper. "Don't you see? If I stay with him, if he believes I'm his, he'll keep Jocelyn safe. It's the only card I have to play. It's all I care about." This was the core of Carly's strategy, to become the perfect, doting girlfriend, creating a human shield of affection around her daughter. It was a terrifying gamble, betting her own safety and emotional well-being on her ability to fool one of the world's most dangerous men. As if summoned by their discussion, Brennan appeared. Jason made a swift, tactical exit, and Brennan, with a predator's instinct, immediately sensed the tension. Carly, switching back into her role with breathtaking speed, admitted that Jason had been giving her an earful about him. She seamlessly wove truth into her lie, painting a picture of a protective friend disapproving of her new romance. Then, she expertly steered the conversation to serve her own ends. She mentioned the visit Brennan had arranged for Charlotte to see Valentine, but lamented that Lulu would likely not allow another due to the disruptive travel. Seeing his concern, Carly offered her solution with the perfect blend of nonchalance and support. Why not use his influence to have Valentine transferred to a WSB prison closer to home? It was a brilliant move, presenting Brennan with a way to further his own agenda while making him believe it was his idea, all under the guise of a supportive partner helping with a work problem. She was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, and the board was all of their lives. Family, fortune, and a forged will. The quest for the Quartermaine fortune continued to ripple through the family, creating strange bedfellows and bitter enemies. At the Metro Court restaurant, Ned Quartermaine, alongside his wife Olivia, took on the role of pragmatic peacemaker with his aunt, Tracy Quartermaine. Tracy, her pride still smarting from being ejected from the mansion, was in no mood for reconciliation with Ronnie, the woman who had usurped her. Ned, however, appealed not to her heart, but to her heritage and her strategic sense. Grandfather would be ashamed, he chided, invoking the formidable ghost of Edward Quartermaine. You know, he always said possession is 9/10 of the law, and you let yourself get kicked out of your own home. His argument was cold and practical. She needed to swallow her pride, pretend to make peace, and get back inside the house. From a position of strength within the walls, she could then wage a proper war. Meanwhile, a far more sinister conversation was unfolding within those very walls. Martin Gray, the architect of the entire scheme, confronted his co-conspirator, Ronnie. The meeting was tense from the start, with Ronnie nervously reminding him that they shouldn't be seen together. Martin, oozing smug confidence, dismissed her fears. He quickly turned to cruel reminders, pointing out that without his intervention, she'd still be waiting tables. He took full credit for her newfound wealth and status, a result of him forging Monica's will. Ronnie, however, was showing signs of a conscience. I never wanted to be a part of this, she insisted, revealing that it was only after a nasty encounter with Tracy that she had agreed to the plan. The rest of the family, she confessed, had been lovely, and the deception was weighing heavily on her. This house shouldn't be mine, she stated, her morality finally surfacing. When she outright refused to sell the house to Drew, citing Monica's love for it, Martin's charming facade evaporated. The mask slipped entirely, revealing the cold, angry monster beneath. He coldly informed her that nothing could be traced back to him. She was the one who would end up in prison for fraud. He had kept his hands clean. His threat was absolute: you will keep your mouth shut and sell the house to Drew, or I'll take away everything you have, including your freedom. In that moment, Ronnie realized the true depth of the hole she had dug for herself. She was no longer a beneficiary, she was a prisoner, and Martin was her ruthless warden. New alliances and old grudges. The drama extended into the world of high fashion at Crimson. Nina Reeves was in a state of high distress, confessing to Ava Jerome that Willow's hatred over the plea deal was crushing her. Ava, ever pragmatic, tried to talk her down, but Nina's determination to fight for her daughter was a force of nature. This was the volatile environment Michael Corinthos walked into, with Jacinda Bracken in tow. Outside the office, Jacinda expressed serious reservations, well aware of Nina's role in drugging Drew. Michael, however, was undeterred. He announced to a stunned Nina that he had hired her a new assistant. When Jacinda entered, Nina's reaction was explosive: "Over my dead body." Michael's chillingly calm reply, "I'm okay with those terms," signaled that this was a battle with no mercy. Heated accusations flew. Nina accused Jacinda of double-crossing her and of being Michael's paid alibi. It was only Ava's intervention, warning Nina not to say something she would regret, that cooled the temperature. Through gritted teeth, Nina agreed to give Jacinda the job. The moment they were alone, Nina's suspicion took a more transactional turn. She reached for her checkbook, a symbol of her power and paranoia, and bluntly asked Jacinda how much Michael was paying her, offering to top it. The job at Crimson was not a fresh start, it was the opening move in a new, deeply personal Cold War. The final moves. As the day drew to a close, the various threads of Port Charles' life continued to weave together. Jason and Anna solidified their alliance, with Anna confirming the Faison-Sidwell connection and vowing to work on getting Jocelyn out from under Brennan's direct command. Carly continued her masterful manipulation, gently pushing Brennan toward the idea of transferring Valentine, framing it as a simple solution to his intelligence-gathering problem. Jordan, alone with her thoughts and a fortune cookie that ominously read, "An unexpected delivery will change everything," tossed the prophecy away, unaware of how soon it would come to pass. Curtis, his search for Portia leading him to General Hospital, confronted Isaiah, demanding to know where his wife was. Portia, having fled the isolating cabin, was on her way to the Metro Court, seeking solace and advice from Ava. The episode's final, stunning scene brought the Quartermaine drama to a head. Tracy, following Ned's advice, performed a masterclass in insincere apology, telling Ronnie she wanted to bury the hatchet for the good of the family. Ronnie, perhaps seeing a flicker of genuine family connection or simply seizing a narrative opportunity, agreed. "We all could use a fresh start," she said sweetly, before delivering the blow that left the family speechless, "which is why I've decided to sell the house."